Alrighty, folks, let's try this again. Take two, because I totally didn't just spill a bunch of soda all over my desktop. But welcome back to another Members First deck profile. This week, I'm going to be bringing you Gallantmon. I know we had some requests for we didn't have too much intake on requests, but one of the requests we had was like a cool Phoenixmon build. But the reality is that just none of us really know that well. We didn't feel comfortable, doing a deck profile that we don't know. And we're already covering a lot of future decks in our Members First deck check videos. So if you want to see some theory crafted builds or builds that we've been testing and practicing with for BT21 and STs, or I guess we haven't done an adventure thing yet, but for BT21 forward, for unification set and everything, you can check out the deck check videos. And me and Ben are both each doing one deck per video, so it's 2 decks per video basically, but you said we're each doing one on of our picks. But yeah, so I'm gonna bring Gallant this week. I've been playing Gallant a lot. I have learned a lot about Gallant in the past month. I've done very well with Gallant in the past month. I've been consistently topping my locals with not winning them. I did pretty good in the case tourney on Sunday, just about 2 weeks ago now, or a week ago. I don't remember. Time is a weird soup. But yeah, before we jump into it, just want to say thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you guys are enjoying all these videos we've been doing. If you are a member, we very much appreciate you. I hope you guys enjoy seeing this content early, and your support means a lot to us. And for anyone seeing this when it goes public and beyond, thank you for checking it out. Hopefully you enjoy your stay here. If you enjoy this video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe button, and let's jump into the profile. So, starting off, we run 4 copies of the EX2 Digimon. Solid egg, just good draw power, not too much to linger on. It's always been Gallant's kind of staple. I do know some builds run the BT12 GG for a little bit more extra boost in that DP popping potential, which it can be good. It can definitely be very powerful. To me, red is such an inconsistent color no matter how much consistency you put into it, so I just try to boost those odds as much as possible. You can even run 5 eggs maybe and run a BT12 GG in there if you really wanted to. Moving on from that to rookies, we have the 2 copies of the new BT19 Gallantmon. This one's pretty good. I only run 2 because the deck space is tight. Deck space is very tight for this deck. And the memory gain does come up for it quite often, but you usually you really need all your searches that you have. But this card's still very good, still very powerful. Getting the extra 2k to DP based deletion effects maximums being a key word, is nice, is very good to know. So just solid, good card. We run 4 copies of the old EX2 Gallantmon, just best searcher in the deck, grabs a Growler Gallant, and then it's a Kato. He's just a staple for rookies, and what they should be. And he's been consistently like the best Gallantmon since since the deck became more of a thing, since EX2 really. So no brainer there. Inheritable just to pop a 3k or less, which obviously that can get boosted with other DP, with all your DP based deletion increases. So that's very good. Moving on, 1 copy of the EX4 Gallantmon. This is just a cheeky rush for game card. It's come up quite a bit for me. It can be very nice, especially playing off of like your Growl X after you get the on deletion effect, which we'll get to in a moment. Even just hard slamming this guy to go for game can do some decent numbers. So just one of him. No inheritable is pretty tough, and you really want all of your inherits on your stack because you are primarily a stack deck. So he's just nice for getting that little extra possible rush for game. And then last but not least, closing out our rookie lineup, we run 4 copies of Gallantmon X. I initially was at 3 of this card, but I realized that I just want to see this guy as much as possible. I want all of the search that I can possibly get. There's most of the time I usually am pushing up as just a Gallantmon, and I just go up my entire line in that single turn, and I get so much card search and draw advantage that it's just insane. And I'm usually set up for another stack after the fact. So he reveals top 3, grabs a card with Growler Gallant in name, and then grabs an X antibody, specifically an X antibody, not like an X antibody trait, something like that. So he'll only grab your BT9 X antibody or your protoform. But he's still very good. He's just that little extra bit of search you get out of him is really good. Not to mention the draw you get off of evoing into him just in general is nice as well. And on top of that too, being able to evo for 1 in the back isn't always bad. That can be very situational to choke your opponent. And so that comes up there, or he can still evo 4-0 over GG or Gil, which is really nice. And then of course inheritable to gain a memory whenever opponent's Digimon is deleted. It doesn't have to be by your effect. If they're just deleted during your turn, could be very helpful. Can be very, very nice. This extra memory gain. The memory gain you get in this deck with how much deletion you do is insane. It's very, very efficient. That's it for rookies. So just the 11. We do run the 11, 9, 7 like ratios for our line here. Becoming more of a staple, I think, with more decks as we get more and more pieces. And you have so many other like, options you want to tech in for search or turn advantage, you know, other things like that. So moving on to 4s. We run 2 copies of BT17 Gallantmon. This guy's really good for getting rid of floodgates, specifically like memory blockers and stuff like that at the low end. That's probably your biggest floodgate that really hinders you. And if he doesn't pop anything, he just gives you +3 KDP for the turn. He's also probably like one of the better ones to Evo in the back, usually, I find. Even though his boosts are good, you don't always need it. And it's just, sometimes if your opponent's just not really building a board, I'd rather save my BT19 Gallantmon, which we'll get to in a moment, for Evoing in the front if I don't have Tamer advantage already. Just because I want to be able to play those Tamers for free. And this guy, I don't really care about the boost too much because you already climb so big anyways when you get to your top end. Same inheritable that most of the BT17 or that all the BT17 and BT19 line have at the 3 and 4s, where they just add 2k, 2 DP base solution effects maximums when you're at 0 or less memory. Moving up from that, we run 4 copies of the BT19 Gallantmon. This is just BT12 Gallantmon on steroids. It's just the better version. So if you have one of your Tamers, you play Takato from your hand without paying the cost. Just the straight power creep for Tamer play, and then the same inheritable as the BT17 one. So not much to say there, but he's just the ideal one to Evo in the front. You want to be able to play out your Tamers for free. Takato is a massive part of this deck. You very, very much need him for a lot of your aggression and a lot of your board advantage. And if you don't see Takato, you are in a tough spot. So he helps with getting those out there very efficiently. Moving on from that, run 3 copies of Gallantmon X Anybody. This guy is very good. So on Evo, you draw 1, trash 1 card in your hand, so you get that extra draw off of Evoing into this guy. And then if you have Gallantmon or X Anybody in your sources, you gain on deletion. You may play 1 card with Gallantmon in its name, so keep in mind you can play Gil X's off of this, from your trash without paying the cost, and then you gain that until the end of your opponent's turn. So it's very, very good for just helping you keep a board advantage, where even if they do manage to slide the memory over and delete your Gallant, or Gallant X, or whatever, you know, or I guess if they delete your Gallant in general, or they slide the memory over, delete your Gallant X, whatever, yada yada. Being able to recur out a rookie that's played out at the end of your opponent's turn that can then swing on your turn when it swings back around, and you can just build up another line is massive. It is very, very good. So just it's a great effect. And then the same inheritable as Gil X, where he'll gain you a memory when you Digimon are deleted. Moving on from that, run to level 5s. Run 4 copies of BT12 Wargrowl. So I just have simplified my Wargrowls. I know some people like to splash in 17. Some people like to splash in a Wargrowl Ace. Some people like to splash in EX3 Wargrowl. They're all good Wargrowls. There is no wrong way to build Gallant, in my opinion. I think it's all dependent on your local scene, how you feel comfortable playing the deck. I just do this because I have seen a vast increase in my consistency in this build compared to a lot of other Gallant builds that I see. So I just, that's why I run with what I run with. If it works, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So this Wargrawlmon deletes level 4, or sorry, not level 4. I wish level 4 or less. Deletes 4 KDP or less, which obviously that can increase with our inheritables. And then if nothing's deleted, you can digivolve into a card with Gallantmon, or level 6 card, sorry, specifically with Gallantmon in its name, in your hand for the cost. When you would digivolve by this effect, you reduce the cost by 1. This makes our BT13 Gallants a 4 cost, our BT17 Gallants a 2 cost. You can go into Gallant X off of this if you want for 3. It's very, very good. It is super, super efficient. And then has an inheritable of end of attack once per turn. If your opponent has no Digimon in play, and this Digimon has Gallantmon or Gallantmon in its name, you gain 2 memory. Very good. Very solid. We want to be able to gain that extra memory. It makes your BT17 Gallant a free Evo if you, like, you know, go into this guy, put yourself at 0, and then Evo into Gallant and Blitz, for example, and clear board. You gain memory back. You can do a lot of other crazy shenanigans with it with your DP, or not DP, but your memory gain inheritables that you get as well. It's very good. It's very, very powerful. So we love it. It's a good card. We run 4 of it. We want to just be able to warp when we want to. You don't have to do it, obviously. It's your choice. It's just, you know, and I think something that you'll learn with this deck is that there's a lot of key moments where you really need to make that decision and see what's best for you. Because if you aren't doing it, that means that you're probably going to want to go into this guy here, Wargrowl X Anybody. This card is so much gas for this deck. He is like probably the biggest solution this deck needed. So on Evo, until the end of your opponent's turn, you can't be returned to hand or deck, and you get +2 KDP. You just get that. You don't need X Anybody for that. You can't be bounced, and you get +3 KDP until the end of your opponent's turn. That's huge. It's massive. It's a DP boost that Gallant was missing very sorely, and that bounce protection is really, really good. Then, if War Growl or Anybody is in your sources, you delete something with 10k DP or less. Now, of course, if we have our DP, with all our all turns inheritables to increase DP-based deletion maximums, we can very easily clear 12, 14k bodies off of this guy, which will oftentimes be what you want to do. It just puts you in such a good position to really utilize your BT12 War Growl inheritable to gain memory. It's just very strong. It's very, very powerful. And then that's not all, right? He also has the inheritable of giving you a second security attack +1. Just generic security attack +1. No conditions to it, no strings attached. You just have it, which is another thing Gallant really, really needed, because yes, they could swing and trash security, but you were still like too slow to chip enough damage with how fragile you were. But now that you have protections with aggression, it's good. It's just so good, and I love it. It's a fantastic card. That rounds out our 5s. Moving on to our 4s here. We run one copy of BT13 Secret Gallant. So he has Rush, first of all. If you aren't familiar with this card, you should be in this format. So when you would play this card from your hand, if you have no Digimon in play, you can reduce the play cost by 2 for every 5 cards in both players' trashes. So keep in mind that counts both players' trashes total. And then on play, when Digivolving and when attacking, not once per turn, you delete something with 6k or less. If no Digimon is deleted by this effect, then you delete something with 13k DP or more instead. Something to keep in mind, something I recently had confirmed to me because I am a silly little goose, is that when you increase your DP-based deletion maximums, it only affects the 6k or less because the 13k DP is a minimum, right? So you can increase the 6k DP portion up to 8, 10k, for example, but the 13k DP or more instead will still hover in that spot, right? That'll still stay there because that's a minimum, not a maximum. So something to keep in mind. But it's very, very good. This guy can just straight up wipe boards when he hits when he actually hits the board, especially if you Evo into him and then Blitz. It's just very, very powerful. Usually you will not want to Digivolve into him. He's most often kept as a win button in the deck when you get to the late enough game state, if you don't just win off your stack. If you have to Digivolve into him and you can make the memory play work, absolutely go for it. But just oftentimes he's not the most cost efficient card for sure. So that's usually something you won't do too often, but it does come up. Moving on, we run 3 copies of BT17 Gallant. If you've seen my list in our Discord, which if you're not in our Discord, you should be. That's where you can see all of the deck profiles from our videos and everything like that. We constantly are updating and posting stuff in there. I was originally running this guy at 2, and I was already not super comfortable with it at the time. I was still seeing plenty of success, but there was still a lot of times where I'm like, man, I really wish I had BT17 Gallant right now. So I just made a change to cut out of training and put this guy in, and it's been the best change I've made so far. It's been phenomenal. It's very, very efficient. I see him all the time now, and he's a very, very good card. So you on Evo when attacking, not once per turn, you delete something with 8k or less, which is really, really good. And then if you don't delete something, you get plus 3 KDP and gain blocker until the end of your opponent's turn, which is massive. Being able to get access to blocker is really nice. In addition to that DP boost that lingers as well. And then your turn, while you have 0 or less memory, this Digimon isn't affected by your opponent's effects. So keep in mind, this isn't just Digimon effects, this is entire effects. So you ignore option cards, all that good stuff. So he's very, very strong. It's a very powerful card. And you just, as long as you like kind of learn how to play around the memory gauge really well, you can consistently have that protection very easily with this deck because you can control the memory you gain pretty well. So that's it for him. Very strong card, very powerful, and the 3 of us definitely helping. And then rounding out our level 6s, I run 3 copies of Gallantmon X, the brand new, or not brand new at this point, but our newest top end, our big guy. He's so good. He's such a strong card. So on Evo, when attacking, if you have Gallant or X anybody in your Digivolution sources, you get plus 4 KDP, and one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 4 KDP until the end of the turn. Keep in mind, it lingers until the end of their turn. So that means if turn swings back around to them, if they had any protections, any DP boosts that were keeping them alive that fall off, they instantly go pop. They die. They're gone. It's very, very strong. It's a very good effect. And then if that's not all, and that's not once per turn either, so keep in mind, but that's not all as well. You also have one Digivolving and end of attack. Once per turn, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 10,000 DP or less, which is pretty easy to do with all the effects we have. If this effect didn't delete, you trash your opponent's top security card and you unsuspend. So it is just double whammy of either I'm controlling your board and probably deleting your boss monster, or I'm going to go ahead and just burn you for 1 and unsuspend and possibly be able to do more damage. He's just a very strong card. He's so cracked at so many points. And then if that's not enough, he also just has all turns if you have 0 or less memory. This Digimon isn't affected by the effects of your opponent's Digimon. So something to keep in mind, your BT17 Gallant's only a your turn effect that you're protected. So he's basically only safe while you're like blitzing or you're at 0 or less memory, right? When you're attacking, ideally that's when you're going to be attacking. This guy is just protected at all times while the memory gauge is at 0 or less on your side. So if even your opponent goes to 0 memory and tries to delete you, you're safe. You're still fine because it's at that 0, right? If they're at 1 or more, then obviously they can't touch anything to you. But the second they put the memory gauge over to 1 on your side or further, then you're susceptible to effects, which is not too hard to do. He's not the hardest guy to clear for a lot of decks that don't mind passing turn when they're deleting something. But it still can be annoying because it means that they have to they basically have to commit their turn being passed to that action. And they can't focus on aggression necessarily all the time if they're worried about an ace play or something like that, or if they're really worried about having to control this body, because if they don't, they're going to lose the turn after, right? So very strong card, very powerful, love him, and we'll scoot on from there. Moving on to our 7s, we run 1 copy of Crimson Mode Ace. This card just really nice. The old Crimson Mode it's lost a lot of its value. It just doesn't do enough of the control that you want, and while the burn it does is significantly better, you don't really need it to be better with this deck with how fast you can build up trash and how much damage you do already in general. Just having the ace is very good for saving you in a bad spot. So on play, on Evo, you choose any number of your opponent's Digimon whose total DP adds up to 15k or less and delete them, which is really nice. And keep in mind too, if your opponent has memory at 0 or less and they swing and you ace into this guy, your all turns inherits that increase your DP based deletion maximums will affect this. So you'll ace into this and you can possibly delete up to 17 or 19k DPs or DP total worth of Digimon, which is very helpful. It's very efficient. And then on top of that, he has 1 attacking once per turn. For every 10 cards in both players' trash, you trash 1 card from the top of your opponent's security stack. So the old Crimson Mode trashed 1 regardless, and then an additional 1 for every 10 cards. And I think it was only in your opponent's trash. I have to double check. It's been a minute, but basically it was a bit more. You instantly trashed 1, and then you got some out of it. This guy just instantly starts trashing, or this guy doesn't instantly start trashing stuff. You have to hit that at least 10 cards in both players' trash requirements, yada. And keep in mind, that's not like I have 10 cards and they have 10 cards. It's a combined total of 10. So just something to keep in mind. Because the way they word it could maybe be misread if you overthink it a little. I've definitely done it before. So good card, fantastic ace. Also just not a bad hard slam sometimes too. So I like him. Moving on. Rounding out our level 7s, we run 1 copy of Gallantmon X. This is probably the biggest change that this deck got in SB 2.5. Just because you don't really get any other pieces in out of BT20 as a set. Everything last support I got was BT19, where we got the Gallantmon and the Gallantmon, which were all really good cards. Were very good cards, to be clear. But those 2 were the only cards that were really worth a lot of value out of the set, in my opinion. The other ones all were they're okay, they're good, but they're more tech choices than anything else. This guy from BT20 though is so good. You can search him off your boosts in your trainings. You'll have X anybody in your stack more often than not, so it's not hard to get the full value out of his on play when digivolving effect. And then he's a big body that has raid, piercing, blocker, right? The on play when digivolving to if you have X anybody in your sources in this case, because we won't have Gallantmon in our sources. But if we have X anybody in our sources in this case, you'll choose 1 of both players' Digimon, delete everything else, and then you can return 1 of your opponent's Digimon to the bottom of the deck. He's just a board wipe more often than not when he hits the actual board. And then the end of turn, once per turn, that 1 of your Digimon may gain rush for the turn and attack without suspending is huge. Funny enough, you can still, so it's usually a Royal Knight combo, but you can still, if you build a stack with this guy on the board, and let's say you're late game or something like that, you can hard slam your Crimson Mode Ace and then use the end of turn effect of Omni to give Crimson Mode Ace rush and have it attack without suspending, and that might just win you the game because it'll burn security, right, and then go for his swing, and hopefully it's just at your opponent and not at another security card. But you get the idea. It's it's another win button play in this deck that you can catch your opponent off guard with. But yeah, so we just run him, just a nice big body to just really bully your opponent and just kind of help you lock games. And he's won me so many games. He's just a strong card, right? Moving on from Digimon. Moving to Tamers, run 5 Tamers in this deck. Most decks I see tend to run 5 or 6 if they can fit it, but 6 is honestly hard to fit sometimes in Gallant right now with how many pieces you need. So we run 2 copies of the BT19 Staccato. This is just our best new memory setter. On top of that, you know, being able to suspend him and then give a Growler Gallant a name raid for the turn is really, really nice. It gives us better control over things that might have protection from effects, because we DP climb so well anyways that we can usually swing over about like 90% of the bodies in this game. Especially with the DP reduction that you can affect people with. Well, though, I guess, admittedly, like I'm saying, it usually comes up most efficiently when you're facing off against something like Magna X, or, you know, just something else that's big and immune that you can't delete with your effects or DP reduce, you know, etc. And then he attacks a player specifically, not a Digimon, a player. So you'll be able to swing at your opponent with him, which can just be for game if you want, or you can go ahead and then use the raid to redirect, which is why they have it worded like that, because that's, you know, raid wants to redirect you somewhere else. If there's only one Digimon on board for you to swing at with this guy, it wouldn't make sense, you know, get the idea. So that's the idea. That's how that all works. Raid's a redirect, so it has to be able to let you redirect. So swinging at the player is the best way to do that. So good card, fantastic card. Also just being able, it's another pseudo blitz for the deck, which is really good. Which, speaking of pseudo blitz, we have actual blitz from our EX2 Staccato. So on your turn, whenever opponent's Digimon is deleted, you can suspend this Tamer to gain a memory, which is really, really good. But with everything we have, we can gain so much memory, especially if your stack stays on the board. There's been plenty of times where I'll build a second stack, and the amount of memory I'll gain from deleting like a rookie that was played to search or something like that is just disgusting. It's nasty. And then this Staccato also has the added benefit of one of your Digimon would Digivolve into a card with Gallant or Gallantmon in its name. It gains Blitz for the turn. So you obviously will need to choose where you're giving the Blitz to, right? Because, you know, it's one of your Digimon in general, but it's not a once per turn. So pretty much every time you're evoing, your card's gaining Blitz. It doesn't really matter. You won't like, once you have it already, it doesn't really matter. But you get the idea. It's just you have to make sure that you're actually digivolving that turn. You won't just always have Blitz with this guy on the board. You have to digivolve into something to gain the Blitz, because you gain when digivolving Blitz. But he's another one of your win buttons for just being able to swing and push out aggression. If Gallant didn't have the ability to swing at end of turn, it would be a significantly worse deck. I will just say that right now. This deck wants to be able to push up and just go for broke in a single turn, oftentimes, just pumping out as much aggression as you possibly can while controlling the board. And both of these Staccatos facilitate that idea with letting you just swing once the memory, even if the memory gauge is passed over. So very helpful, very good card. We'd like to see it. Moving on to options. We run one red scramble, sorry. Just good. Oftentimes I use it really for going into our BT12 War Growl is the usual piece I use it for, but it's also just good for the Gallants as well. Solid piece, just, you know, lets us recur our board state if we need to, lets us get cards back from trash if like our Omni X was in security or our Crimson Mode was in security, etc. It's very, very nice. So we like to have it there, and it's only a one of because we don't need it too often. We're already very efficient, and any more than one I feel like would be kind of bricky. Moving on from that, we run 2 red memory boost, just standard search, memory gain, we like it. 3 offense training. You don't really need the full 4. You search so well anyways between your EX2 Guilmon, your Gil X, your Growl X, and then of course you have your mem boosts as well, and then now you have this card. You draw so much just going up an X anybody line in the first place because you're getting a double draw at each level. So you're getting an additional draw at each level, right? So it's very good, it's very efficient. And so it just helps us kind of accelerate our turn. And then moving on to our X antibodies, we run 2 BT9X antibody, 1 protoform. This has worked perfectly for me. I know some people don't like BT9X antibody anymore. I still like it because you can still get that like blitz swing when attacking an Evo into Gallant X or Evo into a Crimson mode, or well, I guess not Crimson mode, but sorry, but Gallant X or Omni X, which can be really, really nice. So I like having it there. Also, out of security, being able to gain that memory and still turn back potentially can be very, very helpful, especially if your opponent's trying to like move the memory gauge around a little bit more to try and get ready to clear you. And then 1 protoform just for that occasional time when we're going up the line. Oftentimes when you get the 1 protoform, when you see it, you will continue to recycle that 1 protoform over and over and over again if you so choose. And it's not hard to dig into it with how much draw and search you have in this deck. So one's worked out fine for me. Usually I don't need to see more than one because I will just consistently keep being able to recycle that one if my stack gets cleared and my opponent knocks security and knocks it back to me, and then I just use the next stack. So it's very, very helpful, very good there. And it's most often best used when going into Wargrowl X or Gallant X, either to reduce their raw memory or their raw evo cost, or to just make them free over their Gallant or Wargrowl, you know, non-X anybody counterparts. So that's gonna be it there. That's the profile. There's really not too much else to say. Matchup wise, you don't really have like a bad matchup. Almost every bad matchup that you may have, you can deal with. You DP climb like a monster. You DP reduce things. You have bounce protection. You have complete protection depending on where the memory gauge is at. You can trash security. You can wipe boards. You can swing when memory slides over. Like there's so much you can do with this deck. It has so many utilities and tools to maintain aggression and control at the same time. That there's really a few things that stop you. Like I'm never really scared going into a matchup with this deck. If anything, the only thing I'm scared of is either a mirror match, or bricking. Those are my two biggest enemies. I will say there is something to be said that Magna X can be a little bit annoying, but if you have the Raid Takato on board and you see enough of your DP boosting inheritables, you're probably fine. You can probably climb over them pretty efficiently and be okay, and you'll. Ideally, you know, raid, swing over the Magna X, force armor purge, and then when they're down to a Magnamon, if they don't have the BT16 VMon, or you know, moving up into BT21, if they don't have the BT21 VMon, basically if they don't have a VMon giving them a DP boost, and they just have like the 1k ag in themselves, the -8 that you apply to that stack that doesn't affect it, assuming you evoed and then also swung in the same turn. You would apply -8 there. Once they lose their protection on Magna X, they'll just pop the second turn swings over, and then they're gone because the armor purge won't save them from the DP reduction. So that's a nice thing to have there. But that's you have to see that situation in order to clear it. If you're not seeing that with your Raid Takato, it's really hard to come back because they often just hit their top end faster than you. And you can't really deal with their body at all. So I mean, like, you know, that's the idea. Basically, when it comes to like dealing with things, if you're having to deal with things that are big and immune, it can be a bit annoying. But if you have the ability to raid over them, then you're not as worried. So yeah, I think that about does it for the list. There's really not too much else going on. None of the BT21 support changes the deck. I don't think you add any of the new pieces in really. They're all definitely much more focused for a like Megidra aggression deck, which I do have a funny build for that I'm going to be testing out come next format, that works with playing out the new Rush Gallants and everything. I will say there's maybe something to be said that the promo Gallant that we get that has blocker, and then you basically, if there's something with 13k DP or more, you know, I'll just bring it up. I'll just bring it up. Bring it up here. Let's just go to it instead of me yapping about it. I'm on this website, might as well, right? Where is he at? Promo. These promos are for that. My brain is trying to find it. It's EX sets. Where is the Gallant? There he is. This Gallant right here. So we get this as a box topper in BT21. If as long as I'm not mistaken on that. So he'll evo for 3 over a Wargrowl in name, which is really, really good. So you don't have to worry about that 4-cost evo. When he would be played, if there's a Digimon with 13k DP or more, you reduce the play cost by 2 for every 5 total in both players' trashes. So he syncs really well with it's same kind of idea as Rush Gallant, just a different requirement. He has Rush and Blocker, which is really nice. And then on play, when Digivolving, you delete something with 13k DP or more. If you don't delete something, you recover 1. I'm going to try running him as a 1 in the deck. You have to be careful because he just deletes one thing with 13k DP or more. So if there's nothing else 13k DP when you evo into him and you happen to be the thing at 13k DP or more, like if you went into a BT17 Growlmon and gained a DP boost, or Wargrowl X and gained a DP boost before going into him, you will pop yourself. You will delete yourself because it's mandatory. You have to delete something. So you'll delete yourself, which is not great. But if you don't delete something, you recover 1, which is really, really nice. So he's definitely a good, like, he's not really good for a stack. He's something you'd more so play. If you're evoing into him, you're doing it from more of a defensive standpoint, I think. So you would opt to go into him without going into a Wargrowl X that turn, or, you know, without having your DP boost from the BT17 Growlmon that turn. Because otherwise you are going to put yourself in a weird spot. But I think there's some merit there. There's some value. I think you could do some fun plays. There's also some neat ideas you can do with him where, for example, let's say you hard slam old secret rush Gallant, right? The BT13 Gallant. You do your, on play, pop something, delete something, and then you swing and he lives. You can actually play this Gallant, pop your rush Gallant, and then you'll be able to, swing again for another check. So you can kind of chain those on play rushes into some funny things. So just something to keep in mind. I have some neat ideas with the McGeedra Mill build, like I was saying, with that as well, using this guy. But that is the deck profile. That's going to do it for us today. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this. If you have any questions, let me know. Just drop them in the comment section down below. I'll gladly answer them. There is also plenty of times where I'll be discussing this in the Discord as I work more with Gallant, because I think it's a deck that I might commit to pretty heavily. I have a few other decks that I'm eyeballing, but I'm really enjoying Gallant right now, and I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon. So, Gallant's it's in a good spot. It's a very good deck right now. So that's gonna do it for me. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys had a good time. Remember to like this video if you enjoyed this profile. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more deck profiles, mostly commentary. We do mostly match play commentary, but if you want to see deck profiles, meta review stuff, a bunch of other things, we go over. We try and do it all. We try to consistently have daily uploads, along with streaming a lot more consistently now as well. With everything, with all the event seasons going on and stuff like that, it's very fun. And we'll catch you on the next one. Bye bye.